Welcome to another episode of Building Loved Businesses. I'm your host, Nathan Schock, and we're digging in deep with the business owners and founders who have built something that is loved by employees, customers, and their communities. Today, I'm joined by the co-founder of Queen City Bakery, Mitch Jackson, right here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So Mitch, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Nathan.
So Queen City Bakery. Queen City in Sioux Falls.
Yes.
Right. Give me the backstory. How did this come to be?
So, very long story short, I traveled to the south of France to work and teach English, and I met a woman there who was from Rapid City, South Dakota, of all places.
Yeah.
And we hit it off and moved back to the States after living in Europe, and really didn't have a whole lot going on at the time. Yeah. I went to school for art. She went to school for kinesiology. So naturally, we were both unemployed. And we had a little stint living in Rapid City. And she worked for a restaurant there. And the chef owner, MJ Adams is her name, said, I think that New York has a lot to offer you guys. So we moved to New York City. And Christine became very skilled in baking and pastry. Just kind of fell into it, one of those things. When I was traveling back here for my 10-year high school reunion in 2007. I met some friends, and they had the idea to go to Falls Park, and there's a laser light show. And I thought that it was going to be kind of like Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, you know, real cool. And it's not. It's like two-dimensional kids' drawings on the side of the Queen Bee Mill. But one of the things that they talked about in the history was that Sioux Falls was known as the Queen City until about the 1940s. I believe it was a throwback to a nickname of the largest town in the area at the time. It's totally non-unique. Spearfish, Cincinnati, Ohio, Denver, Charlotte, North Carolina are all nicknamed the Queen City. But I was in Chicago flying back to New York after my visit here, and I called Christine and I just said, what about Queen City Bakery? She goes, nope, I don't like it. We knew at that point that we were going to open up our own space. We just didn't know when or where, and we didn't have a name. So we're just kind of bouncing ideas off each other. Fast forward a few months, and she came back and said, you know, Queen City Bakery kind of sticks. It's not masculine, it's not feminine, it's a timeless name. It does throw back an era to, you know, what we're going to be producing.
Yeah.
So we packed up our stuff and moved from Brooklyn to Sioux Falls in October of 2007. We just said enough's enough. And we were open in May of 2008, and Queen City Bakery came about. So that kind of naturally happened. The name came about because of the information that I got from the history. And it was, you know, timeless in the sense of the ideas and the products that we wanted to produce were just classic all-American desserts and pastries and breakfast goods and things like that. So it was just a natural fit. Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the maybe big takeaways that you brought back to Sioux Falls from New York and France?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is just quality over everything. We knew what our identity was. We knew where we wanted to be. Our first building was at 8th and Weber, our first space. And we identified really as a downtown, you know, old school feel, kind of tying in with the name and tying in with the products that we wanted to do. But in New York, it's, you know, very similar to Sioux Falls in that you can throw a stone at the next restaurant, the next coffee shop, the next whatever. And so you have to have something that stands out. And it wasn't necessarily our selection that really made us stand out when we began. It was what we did, how we did it, and everything was done, produced on site. And so we controlled every facet of that with the best quality ingredients and the best quality product. And we really wanted to let that speak for itself. And so I think that's really the starting or the impetus for our momentum that we got going is just how we were able to produce high quality products. And that's really what got people in.
Yeah. You know, I have very fond memories of that first place with my daughters sitting upstairs and yelling down at you, yelling their orders down at you.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely.
And I think that was that kind of almost like a family kind of atmosphere there. Also, though, I think tell the story about that first day, because sometimes in business it's better to be lucky than good.
We were 100% lucky. We got our funding for our loan. We got our loan on President's Weekend, so February, second week of February in 2008. And I don't really even believe that my parents thought that we would get it. I mean, we really moved back here and we worked nonstop. We were living at my parents' house in their basement. We worked on our business plan Christine made sure we were up and working every day at 8 o'clock, and we would stop at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. And so we really focused on working on that.
Yeah.
When we were doing our construction, I remember, I mean, it was a Thursday night, and I was standing on top of a 12-foot ladder pulling nails out of the ceiling of a very tall ceiling in the Stockman's building.
Yep.
And I remember looking over the railing at the counter down below, and I thought to myself, if I fell at 11 o'clock at night, nobody would find me till the next day. Christine was back at home sleeping, and I said, we've just got to get this thing open. And so I told her that next day, I said, we need to go prep, and we need to open on Saturday. Our first day was May 10th, 2008, which happened to be the first day of the farmers market. Now, in 2008, they were building the structure at Falls Park for the farmers market. So that was transplanted to the parking lot directly to our north in Johnstone Supply. So our first Saturday at 7 o'clock when we opened, we had no employees. It was just the two of us. So we went in, and I had told maybe two people, aside from my family, that we were opening.
Yep.
And I look outside at about 6:45, and there's about 30 people waiting in line. And I just thought, what the heck is going on? So it was fortuitous in that the farmers market was open right next to us. And so naturally people just filed in. And that became a real tradition for people to go to the farmers market on Saturday and then come to the bakery, or vice versa.
That was us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people did that. And that, because it was there for 2 years, that really kind of had that staying power for people to reinforce that habit or tradition, depending on how you look at it, of what made their Saturdays special.
Yeah. Okay. And I know in talking to you, another thing, and you even mentioned it, right, is the quality of the goods, right? So you said there's way cheaper ingredients we could buy.
100%.
Right. But we're going to use the best, and we're going to build from scratch.
Yep.
Right. So where did that come from? Where did that desire come from?
That's just a real feeling that Christine and I have. I mean, that's the way that we cook at home. We are, what I've heard recently, especially from my 14-year-old, is that there's two kinds of houses. There are food houses, and then there are ingredients houses. And we're an ingredients house. We cook everything. I mean, we cook probably 99% of our meals at home, and rarely go out, just because we have the ability to produce all that. And that is something that Christine has really fought for, and has always been that way. We still get offered by tons of food wholesalers to buy frozen everything. I mean, you name it, and you can get it from a tub or a bag. But we can't control our product that way. And we've always insisted that we want our product to speak for itself. What a lot of people don't know is that Christine was very successful in New York. So she has done the Martha Stewart Show several times, and the Today Show, been written up in the New York Times and Time Out New York. But we don't let that celebrity dictate people's tastes, how they come to us. We'd rather let word of mouth and our product speak for itself. There's a large, education component of what we did at first, because we were a new business in an untested market. There was no real scratch bakeries in 2008 when we opened. And I could tell basically by cars that were driving up what the person was going to ask for. I'd be like, oh, this is an old boy farmer. He's coming in looking for rolls. Or we'd have people come in and say, what do you got for breakfast? And I'd say, well, nothing other than everything that's in front of you that was just made, 20 minutes ago. And so there was a huge education component, as well as costs of why our prices were higher. At the time, I think our scones were $2 and our cookies were $2. And there was a woman who had a business downtown, and she came in and she said, how can you charge $3 for a brownie? I said, well, cost reflects price of goods. And at the time, there was no distribution channels opened in Sioux Falls. So I used to have to drive up to Minneapolis and go pick up chocolate from an importer that was there, because they didn't have any trucks coming down. So we had to open a lot of those distribution channels that other businesses use now. But we were paying significantly more for it. It's very easy to get a tub of, Crisco frosting and slap it on a cake. It's not as easy to make a Swiss meringue buttercream with egg whites, sugar, and butter that we produce everything on site. But because of how we do things and what we do, we've always told our staff that our product should be able to stand up any place in the world. And we have tried to beat that into them, over and over. And they understand and they get it. We took our kitchen staff and their spouses to Paris 2 years ago for a week. And it was, a gift for them because they've worked so hard for us. And so I rented a 4-bedroom apartment, and stayed in one of our favorite neighborhoods in Paris. And I was able to go to a different patisserie every morning and bring back a selection of goods.
Yep.
So I think there's a couple bonuses to that. One is when you're in your job, I think you get so locked in with your blinders on that you lose the ideation of what you could have or what you could do, because you are so busy with production work of what you do that you're focused on that. But number two, we were able to show them what you do every day could absolutely be sold here in Paris. We could open up a shop in Paris with our products and be successful because of the quality standards that we adhere to. So that is something that has never left from us, even despite the astronomical rising costs of everything that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things, sorry to cut in, but with ingredients, when we first opened, Nielsen Massey Madagascar Bourbon Vanilla was $20 a quart. So it was $80 a gallon in 2008. The last time I ordered Nielsen Massey Vanilla, it was $473 a gallon. You know, chocolate chips right now are super high because tariffs only account for about 10% of that. Really what it is lack of production. And we're paying $253 for a 22-pound bag of chocolate. You know, chocolate chips are $200 for a 50-pound bag. So those costs are astronomical, and we maintain that we're going to use those because we care so much about the quality and what we're putting out.
Yeah. Okay. Another piece of your success, right, because you've been in business now for
17 and a half years.
17 and a half years.
Yep.
Is you said just consistency.
Yep.
Right. Just showing up every day. What time do you get there to start baking?
It varies, but generally when I go in early, I'm there 5 a.m. at the latest. Yeah. If I have a lot of office work to do or something to do, I'll go in at 3:30, 3:45 just to get a jump start in the day. Yeah. Coming up to Thanksgiving now, the kitchen will start Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving morning they'll be in full production mode by 4 a.m. just to get all that stuff done. So it's a early morning.
Yeah. Then another big part of the success and what people know about Queen City is the community.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Talk a little bit about how because you're not in CJ Stockman's anymore,
correct,
right?
Correct.
So talk a little bit about that move.
Yep.
And then what you designed that space for.
Our first space was great to start in. We had a 5-year lease, but we outgrew that space within probably a year and a half. The focal point for downstairs was a bar that had 6 seats at it. Mm-hmm. And right behind that bar, there was an 8-foot by 4-foot window into the kitchen. And that allowed a couple things. Number one, it allowed natural light in because there was no windows in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Number two, it also showed how clean we worked because the kitchen is always clean. Even in full production, the kitchen is always clean. They maintain a very clean area. Number three, it's genuinely interesting to see a production bakery at work. That's something that I look for. I know that I'm biased because that's our job, but I think to see somebody producing something is really interesting. I mean, not just for kids, but for adults too. So when we designed the new space, I had been looking for a while, and I came across our current space, and it was totally blank. There was plywood floors. There was no mechanical, no electrical, no plumbing. And the building owners just said, do whatever you want, make it your own. So one of the things that I really wanted to focus on was to have more seats at the counter. So our new space has 2 counters you can sit at, which have 16 seats at it that are almost always full. And I think that allows people to interact with our staff, number one, and interact with each other. You don't have to go and sit at a table, by yourself and look at your phone constantly. It's I like to call it an analog chat room where you go in and you can talk to people, and everybody there is very friendly. So that was designed with the sole purpose of getting more interactions from people within the community.
Yeah. Okay. I want to come back to that in a minute.
Absolutely.
But the Sioux Falls market is very different today than 17 years ago.
Yes.
Right. So back then you were probably a little weird.
A lot. Still am, but yes, more so.
Right. Today, like you said, I don't know if you can throw a stone in Sioux Falls and not hit a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Right. And now, obviously, Queen City's more than that. We've gone through it.
Yep.
But that's to say there's more competition today.
Yep.
Right. So how do you think about, being who Queen City Bakery needs to be in order to continue to grow, continue to be successful, and be consistent and be that place of choice for your community.
I think one of the things too that people often think that we are all in competition with each other, and that's not the case at all.
Yep.
Mary and Corey from the Breaks are friends of mine. Darren Kaihai, CEO of Cafea, they're friends. I mean, I go to all these places. We're all friends with all of these people.
Howard Schultz,
I don't really care for him. I don't. He's great at what he does. Yeah. His product is vastly different than ours is. But one of the things that we have always maintained or tried to do is to really curate a community of people. And that's what enables us to continue to grow. I think in the last 17 years that we've had 2 years that we haven't had any growth. Number of reasons for that. Number one, we don't do any advertising at all. So as people naturally drop off, move away, or look at their budget for the end of the year and say our Queen City number is too high, we're able to bring in more people to add to our customer base. The consistency and quality of what we do is huge. It's second to none. Yeah. There isn't any shortcuts that are ever taken. As much as it would ease all of my staff's headaches, we just refuse to do that. But three, introducing people to other people. There are people that look for each other every single day because they have a friendship based on that. And I think that one of the things that I heard from a TEDx speaker was we have a customer and Queen City Bakery is his third space. And we've not on purpose, but just kind of naturally slid into a lot of people's third spaces. It's where they feel very comfortable. It's where they're welcome. I know I'm fortunate that I have a good memory and I'm able to remember people's names and stories and families and check up on them. And a great example of that is we have a customer that was a daily customer. He started once a week, and then it was once every 3 days, then it was once a day, and then it was twice a day. And then so now he's still in every morning. And I hadn't seen him for about a week. And another customer who's a regular every day said, "Hey, have you seen this person?" And I go, "No, I'm going to call him." So I called him. He had just had quadruple bypass surgery. Oh, wow. So it's just a way for people to check on other people too. Yeah. And there's that level of care. And we've tried really hard to curate that community of fostering friendships and fostering people. And one of the things that I like to do at the counter is I'm able to talk to people. But if something comes up and I have to work at my job, I will introduce people that are sitting next to each other. And there's been beautiful friendships that have come out of that also. That they will often see each other in passing in the morning and they'll talk for a minute, or they will get together for coffee or lunch or something like that to catch up on what's been going on. So I think that that's another real success of the business and how we can differentiate ourselves. A lot of spaces, the quick serve places, which is not to say that we're not quick serve, but a lot of other spaces that are quick serve, it's just a transactional interaction. Yeah. And so you walk in, get your product, sit down for a few minutes, check your email or phone or whatever, and then you're out. Or if you're meeting somebody for coffee, it may be a few minutes. But we try to be more than that transactional interaction at the front, which is something that I have conversations with my staff with. Like, I expect them to get to know the customers. We have customers that we have probably 75 different people that have gift cards on file at the bakery so that they don't have to bring their wallet in because they're there every day. Yeah. And so that was a natural way for us to make sure that they're still included every day. And if we don't see them or whatever, then we can check up on them. Yeah.
I think about one of my daughters who's now a barista at Cafea, right? Yep. And I think about the challenge today of taking, the kind of younger generation and saying, these are people, interact with them, right? Yeah. Have a great, these are guests. It's not just a sale. You don't just punch in the order. How do you do that at Queen City? How do you get this a team that has that same vision for connecting with the customer that you do?
One of the things that I've really focused on, and this is kind of boomerang back to, I had great front of house staff for a number of years, and I would often let them do a lot of the training. At that time, during these growth periods, I had different polls in the office that I would have to do. I mean, because I do all of the business stuff too, all the taxes and payroll and accounting and growth stuff. And so there was a period of time where I was taken away from that. And I have a new team in place, and so it has been up to me to train them all in. So I lead by example. Christine and I are both, one of us is there all the time. There isn't a day I should say, in the last year and a half, there have been a total of 10 days that one of us hasn't been there. And that's when we were both on a family vacation together in northern Minnesota. But we are always there, and we never ask our staff to do anything that we wouldn't do. We just don't have the time to do it in that instance. I'm mopping floors, I'm cleaning up, I'm doing everything. But it's through example that we show them how to do things, but it's also introduction of the person first. It's not, oh, that's the guy that gets a black coffee. It is, oh, this is Mark, and Mark works here and has this wife and these kids and does, enjoys these things, or I play soccer with him, or I met him here, or whatever. So it's introducing the personal element to everything to take away the transactional element of the product. It's not the product, it's the people. It's always been the people.
Yeah. One of the things that a lot of the retail businesses in Sioux Falls and anywhere have had to deal with is coming through COVID. And we talked about, you said you've only had 2 years where you didn't grow. Well, that was one of them.
Yep, that was one. Absolutely correct.
So how did you operate through that? And how did that change Queen City?
There wasn't any direction from the state for necessary for closure. I wanted to do, because we produce everything, there is no shortcuts. I can't have 2 bakers down out with COVID and be able to still produce the quality of products that we do.
Yep.
So we made the decision, Christine and I, to voluntarily close for dine-in for 14 months. That allowed us to protect our staff so that we could still continue to produce. During those 14 months, nobody on my team got sick. Everybody came to work the same as they did before, so they all had purpose. We were able to pay everybody. We got our first round of PPP funding like everybody else did, and that all went to payroll. We did not qualify for the next round because our losses weren't greater in the next quarter of 25%. So I think we lost 22%. We didn't qualify, but for us, it was more about doing the right thing. So it would have been very easy, like a lot of businesses did, to put everyone on unemployment, lock the doors, and just be done and take your money and run.
Yep.
But I feel like, kudos to those guys if that's what they want to do. Those that did it, great.
Yep.
More power to you. I felt that our ownership in the business and our duty was to allow our staff to still come to work and have that purpose. I'm extremely biased, but I think that we have a very positive work environment. Our kitchen is, right now we have 4 very strong women that are in the kitchen baking. And, we try to create the same culture in work that we do out front. And so my thought was, well, they should want to come to work because it's a good place to be. Yeah. And they did. And I think that they appreciated their ability to still do meaningful work to them and to produce for the community.
Yep.
Once we reanimated the inside, the joke was, Christine said, well, we'll open back up when Costco starts giving out samples again. And I just said, I don't think we're going to wait that long. But we reopened in July, and it was just like the dam had burst and the floodgates opened.
Yep.
And it was a very different thing especially for my front of house staff that I had hired during COVID. All they knew was only service and to go. That was it. So now it was more spreading out dining room plus outside tables. And it was a real learning experience for them to try to redirect them into what they need to do. But it was, COVID was miserable. For everybody.
Yep.
We had young kids, and we had to do the homeschool thing with them and make sure they were doing their work plus running the business. Yep. And, we came out of it stronger than we were before, I think, both as a unit of employees, but also through the community, because we were still able to provide a service that they wanted and made them feel somewhat normal during an uncertain time.
Yeah. I want to talk about one aspect of your culture before we talk about the future.
Yep.
And that's, as you describe this, right, it's the anti-good enough.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. So just share a little bit about that philosophy, and what it means to Queen City.
One of my least favorite phrases is good enough for Sioux Falls. We've always maintained that our product should be able to be anywhere. Having spent a lot of time in New York, Paris, Chicago, Minneapolis, all of those items we have the ability to produce just as high of quality, if not better, because we don't have the same overhead that they have in larger cities. So our unit costs can be higher because our expenses at the end of the day are lower.
Yeah.
So we absorb a lot of those costs, and that goes into, inferred value and elasticity of the market and what the customer feels they should be able to spend for this product.
Right.
But good enough for Sioux Falls, to me, when I hear that, I just hear the word lazy. I think that if you're producing a mediocre product or a product that's just good enough for your clientele, that you are betraying your clientele and dumbing down a product because you think that they're not going to notice. And I think people do notice. I mean, I know that there's many businesses that have started off under the guise of production or making everything from scratch, whether it's dinner, lunch, restaurant, or it's baked goods or whatever, and then they transition to frozen and thaw and bake products and things like that. And people know. They don't know. They might not have the understanding to pinpoint exactly what it is, but they know that there's something different.
Yeah.
And when you're doing something that's good enough for Sioux Falls, that is just you being lazy and taking a shortcut.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many better ways to do things. And we have insisted that we're never just going to be good enough for Sioux Falls, which is why we took our staff to France to show them what you're doing is reflective of the quality that we have. And we could do this anywhere. And for them to see it, I mean, was really eye-opening, I think, for them, because they're like, okay, we are doing this right. And we can do this anywhere. And maybe the two owners know a little bit about what they're talking about.
Yeah. And again, go back to we're 17 years on.
Yep.
Do you think it's that atmosphere has changed some in Sioux Falls?
It has a little bit. Sioux Falls is a very bizarre market. Sioux Falls has what's called an RGI, or Restaurant Growth Index, that is very high. Per capita, there are so many restaurants here. So I think what's difficult about that is that you're drawing from the labor force, both for front of house and for kitchen staff.
Yeah.
In order to produce a viable product, I think a lot of places have to cut those corners because they're not able to staff up how they appropriately would.
Yeah.
Whether that was the intent when it was opened or the menu was based around what they can do, what I call semi-homemade, who's to say?
Yeah.
But I think that the culture could change. I think that it has changed definitely in the last 17 and a half years, but there's still definitely, for sure shortcomings in quality of product in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And the places that we end up going, and I understand that we're very spoiled because our friend group is very diversified, and it's, like Christine hangs out with Nancy Gellerman and Tina Keen and Sanaa, and, it's all women chefs. But that's also the quality that we produce at home also. So there are definite places that still and maintain that quality of product. And I think that the new places have a good bead on what they could be doing. It's just a question of if they can maintain, especially with the rising costs of everything that they have to produce.
Yeah. Okay. Well, 17 and a half years in.
Yes.
Where does Queen City go from here? What does the future hold?
I think that our strongest ally is just consistency and reliability. We don't close early. We don't close for bad weather. We are always open.
They have bad weather in Sioux Falls?
Shocking, I know.
Really?
We had a good friend, a good customer. They've since moved away, but he was a pastor at Central Baptist Church. And this is in our probably, maybe 10 years ago, and it was on a Sunday, and there was a blizzard outside.
Yeah, it had to be 10 years ago because they're just Central Church now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. So they had canceled church on Sunday, but this gentleman knew, because he was a regular at the bakery, that we were going to be open because we were consistent. And so he and his friends and his wife and several people from their congregation came to the bakery.
Yeah.
I get calls anytime there's inclement weather from other business owners who I'm very friendly with. And they're like, are you going to be open today?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are always open. We close for the major holidays.
Yeah.
It's Christmas Day, New Year's Day, 4th of July, depending on where they all fall in the week. But otherwise, we're open, and it doesn't matter what it is. The consistency is a key. I mean, that day might be a huge loss. Like our labor costs are 80% of our, days total. We're losing money hand over fist, but we're open. There was a business next door to us when we first opened, and she would often close her bar because she would go to visit her daughter or whatever. And hey, more power to you. But if somebody shows up to your door and they want something, a product from you that you are serving, and you're closed, Okay,
Yeah.
they might give you one more shot.
Right.
But if it's a second time,
Yep.
they're not coming back because they're not
Yeah.
going to rely on it.
That's not France. That's Italy.
That
right?
yeah, exactly right. 100%. It's also France though too. It's also France too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Maybe one last question
Yeah.
then. How do you think about the balance between consistency in your products and innovation, right? Because, because I do it, like it's remarkably consistent. When I come to Queen City, I even if I haven't been there, I kind of know what's
Right.
going to be there.
Right.
But how do you do that balance?
I think with the innovation is tough because when we started, it was just Christine and I. We had no employees,
Yeah.
and so our offering of what we could do was very small.
Yeah.
And everybody loves to come in with a menu that's 8,000 ingredients or 8,000 items and spread themselves so thin. We had decided that we're going to keep it small and we're just going to grow organically with what we do.
Yeah.
That is still true today. So, for example, 17 and a half years in, we've been making sandwiches now for probably, maybe 6 or 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And people have been asking us for soup for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Today was the first day that we made soup. We have to figure out a way to put it into production without decreasing our production in other areas, but
Yeah.
also in a way that is sustainable for our staff to do the quality product that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes time to work out. We're never going to put something out for sale that is not reflective of the quality that we have. So Christine and I had talked about it for a long time. We had talked with, she had talked with her staff in the kitchen. So today was the first day.
Wow.
Will that
This
continue?
is a big day. I didn't
it's-
realize.
Believe it or not, soup at Queen City is a big day.
Yeah.
So that product now will maintain and it will be on the menu every day.
Yep.
And that is going to have to be figured out how they fit it into the production with everything else because
Yep.
we're not buy a bag of frozen soup from someplace and heat it up, right? So
Yep.
So we have to really check ourselves with innovation. There are certain tools you can use to make your production easier.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the first 7 years, Christine would make croissants all by hand. She would use a rolling pin to beat it out. She would roll it all
Wow.
by hand. Okay,
Yeah.
we finally got a sheeting machine so that we can slide the dough back and forth.
Yep.
That has helped. That doesn't decrease the quality of what we're doing. It's still all the same ingredients. It just
Yep.
speeds up her time to do it. It's still a 4-day process to make croissants for us because that's just how our production works. So we're careful in that the innovation really for us is management of time in production, how we can get things ready in a timely manner. So,
Yeah.
Courtney, our baker who's been with us for 12 years, she started making soup this morning at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Just so that we could have it out by 11 o'clock.
Yep.
And it was like 6 cups. That's it. You know?
It's so funny. One of my past interviews here, I would have never thought there was overlap, right? It started as an HVAC company.
Sure.
And now they've expanded to a dozen other lines. And I asked the innovation question, right? How do you know what one is right for you? He says, it has to fit within what we do.
Absolutely right.
Right? Like,
Absolutely.
we're not going to go off and do something crazy.
Nope.
Right? It has to fit.
Nope.
Because if it takes us too far away from our core, then we're going to lose the sense of who we are.
That's exactly right. And that's everything that we do has to be within these, blurry lines of definition of who we are, but they're
Yeah.
very well articulated by our history.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
what we keep doing.
Cool. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
How many more years do you think we got here?
Well, based on our financial history, the bakery makes tens of dollars a year, and
So you're working till you die.
Christine and I have become thousandaires in the process, so we've got a lot more years left. A lot.
Well, that's great news.
Yes, absolutely.
So, for all the people who've been watching this now and are super hungry,
Yep.
where do they find you?
324 East 8th. We're across the street from 8th and Railroad in the Frank Transfer and Storage Building.
There you go. Open every day except,
Tuesdays.
right? You've been here 17 and a half years. I still make that mistake once in a while.
You're not alone. My family does also. I get texts from my very, very smart physician of a brother-in-law that he's going to the bakery on a Tuesday. I say, all right,
Enjoy.
have fun.
Yeah.
I want to put up a camera on the door. We'll call it the Tuesday closed cam just to see how many people come to the door. But if I have meetings there for, downtown Sioux Falls or something like that, I mean, inevitably there will be 6 to 8 people just in that morning window that people come to the door and say, sorry.
Yep. And of course, I still remember, right, at old Stockman's, the hard door to open.
Yeah.
Push like you mean it.
Except on Tuesdays.
Except on Tuesdays.
Yep, that's right.
Yep. Okay. Well, Mitch, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
You bet.
And for those of you watching, if you're hungry, go visit Mitch and Queen City Bakery. And if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, be sure to subscribe on your favorite streaming platform so that you never miss an episode of Building Love Businesses. Until next time, I'm your host, Nathan Schock, and keep building something that you love in your corner of the world.